Hey everybody, welcome to Design Underground.
Oh.
Welcome to Design Underground, Eric.
Hi, man. How are you?
Hey, wait, this is my show.
Oh, no. All right, fine.
There we go.
All right, cool.
That's much better.
Yep, we're good.
I don't think that's going to work on the camera.
Yeah. I feel like an Oompa Loompa over here.
So today we want to talk to you a little deeper about the design of the game, and particularly about the drones. There have been a lot of questions on our forums and on the Kickstarter page about the 9 ships.
Yep.
There are 9 now.
The 9.
9. So why do we have 9 drones? What does that mean? What does that mean for you, the player? Let's get into it a little bit.
Yep, let's do it.
So the first thing we worked on when we started developing the different drone styles is that this is a balance game. Every single drone we develop has its own purpose and its own specific function in the game that it's best at. That doesn't mean that there's a progression from you start with this ship because it's the bad ship and then you move up.
Right, no.
It's that each one is better at one particular aspect of the game, and the end result is all of them working together in teamwork fashion in the bigger matches where the miners are digging, the haulers are pulling it back to the base, the fighters are protecting them. You know, when you work them all together and use each of their specific skills, the end result's going to be a really interesting multiplayer game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really based upon play style, right? Because what's happened is as games have progressed, there are people that like to get in there and mix it up. There are people that like to support. I mean, so basically it's the archetypes from a lot of RPGs or things of that nature that it's basically supporting folks' play styles so that we create a game experience for pretty much everybody to enjoy. If you're the kind that likes to get in there and hammer away, that's there. If you're the kind that likes to, heal, that's there. So it's kind of like, it's the old triumvirate, right? Rock, paper, scissors, and only with 9 you've got 3 of those different kind of elements together. So
you had Spock and Hammer and
and dynamite. You got to have dynamite in there. Well, I mean,
and the claw.
And that's funny because the actual some of the people have we talked about like the maps where you've got these columns and stalactites and stuff, and people don't realize you get to blow those up. That's going to be kind of fun. You get to blow them up, and stuff's going to pop out of there.
What does that have to do with ships?
Oh, I don't know. It's always everything has to do with ships. Sorry.
Design Underground.
Right. His meeting, his discussion. I'll let him lead.
So, one of the things that you brought up that actually kind of leads nicely into the next point is that, unlike some of the archetypes you see in other games, just because you have a specialization in a ship, it doesn't mean it can't do the other thing.
That's right.
Every ship can do a little of everything. And at some point, we'll show them the ginormous stats page that explains how those things break up.
The ship stats page?
The ship stats page.
Yes, it exists.
Now, we've learned over the course of our experience in the game industry that you don't want to rush these things out.
The funny thing about the ship stats page, too, is one of the reasons for the advisory board is that we want to do this balancing with the community involved. And that's what the Proving Grounds is for, starting in August. So when you guys come in, you'll actually be able to directly affect that. And so that's when we finally do publish the ship stats page. That's hard to say.
They'll be involved even
ship
sooner.
Stats page.
There'll be a ship stats page.
Ship stats page. Ship.
How about the drone stats page? That's a lot easier to say.
I don't know. It could be that.
Because, I mean, hey, they're drones.
They are drones.
Let's think about it. Right now, I mean, they're
and why are they drones? Because it's before the originals, before the Material Defenders rose for the Post-Terra Mining Corporation. It's before all that. So somewhere, someplace, the robots came to be, and that's about enough of that, I think.
I think that's a good teaser.
Yeah, it is a good teaser.
So if you think about all the different primary things that a ship can be good at, for instance, let's take the auger. It's best at digging. It can carve tunnels, which is a tactical advantage. It can unearth power-ups, which is a team advantage in general. It can certainly mine for resources. And then you have your hauler come along, which is, what is that, the Goliath? Yeah, do you remember all the names?
The dump truck. Well, the
dump truck for the space dump truck.
Yeah, the very first concept for that was the dump truck, too.
It was staggeringly dump trucky.
Dump trucky. Did not look dump trucky. Did not look good. No, we haven't shown that for a reason.
But it's the specialized ship for hauling.
But they can all fight. They can all protect
Right.
themselves.
They can all defend themselves.
They can all do a little bit of everything. It's. I guess it's like if you ever played. If you ever played a first-person shooter, we'll equate it to that. Like on a Bad Company 2, for instance, the medic still has a gun and can shoot. The engineer can still shoot. The assault guy shoot. So it's everybody can still do the main part of the game, which is combat. Right. But then there are other things they're just better at to support their team or their squad. So I guess you could almost say that our ships are a squad.
Yeah. Well, like the Warlock, for instance, our engineering ship is the one that kind of falls somewhere between a scout because it has some forward functionality.
Right.
And a sort of special categorization. So there are a ton of unique abilities in the engineering category, and each ship has some engineering properties, but they're not all spread across all ships. Each one is specialized in some areas.
If you are in a particular map and you are, would you call it, if your squad is in a map, would you be a squatter?
A squatter?
Yeah.
No.
They have those in England. You can go take over a house and you're squatter.
That's a squatter.
Oh, is it?
Oh.
So, no squatting, but squatters are welcome.
I'm not sure squatter is really a word.
I don't think so either, but when have I ever been known not to make up words?
So, you were talking about scouts, which is kind of important. That would be a predator, right?
Right, the predator, yep.
Okay, so one of the things that's unique about the scout versus, say, the assault craft, the scout has a smaller profile. Can squeak into smaller areas.
Right.
That is part of the game mechanic. Yes, some of the ships have bigger profiles and you have to fly them more carefully, but hey, you know what? They're the guys out there banging on everybody else. They don't care.
But that's it. There's pluses and minuses to every ship, right? So
all of it has balance.
The predator may run up. You may run into an area where you can see that there's an area to dig, right? But maybe there's a small area that only the predator can fit into, and so they can actually maybe go in and find some of the palisade or other power-ups that are hidden back there, or they can identify it for their team. So
and they can dig in themselves very slowly,
or
they
right,
can call for an auger to come get it out fast.
Right. Well, it depends. If you're playing as an individual or you're playing as a team, right? There's both of that. The anarchy level, which is
and if you're playing 1v1, hey, it's perfectly okay to just go torch versus torch.
Yeah,
what about somebody taking a Goliath against a torch just to prove they can?
And we'll have to come up with some sort of scoring system for that too, because if you're going 1v1, we're going to have rankings are going to be a big deal on some of the multiplayer stuff. And so, maybe you get a lot more points for taking out a bigger ship as a predator, for instance. If you can take out an assault guy, you might score higher.
Maybe weighted based on your abilities in combat versus theirs.
Well, it is completely skill based anyway. So.
But I'm saying as far as the ship's specialization in combat. So we'll have to work those out, and of course we'll be delivering those details as we get them.
Well, and with them involved.
And absolutely,
that's kind of the whole point here.
That is kind of the whole point. So one of the things that you were just talking about as far as the laddering, and that is a huge deal in the idea that all of these matches involve a lot of people working together in different capacities. And so you go in there, you do your job. Let's take a larger match where you're using all the different roles at once. You go in there and work together to accomplish a goal, for instance.
Team goal, right?
X amount of resources
right.
for your team. Now, obviously, your assault ships are going to be more out there finding the bad guys and blowing them up. But that doesn't mean that your augers and your Goliaths aren't getting money, aren't getting paid for their job too. You're getting paid based on a number of different things. And it's not just the number of kills or the amount of resources you bring home. It's how you contribute to the overall team effort. So every single type of drone can contribute to a single mission, and every single pilot can get paid.
Yeah, you'll be getting point systems, or you'll be getting ranked during the match based on how you're performing your particular task or your particular ship's capabilities. Now you'll still get the kills will still be everything will be weighted, right? So that's kind of the way of doing it. So we jumped ahead a little bit. Did you want to continue to go down all the ships there, or
do we want to go through the whole list?
I don't know. What do you think?
We might as well go through them all.
I think that's what this is for.
That could be what this is for. So we have 9.
Yeah, we do.
We have the Wasp.
The Fellowship of the Nine. Wrong game?
Wrong game. The Wasp.
The Wasp
is, as a lot of you have seen, is the basic starting ship
general
for
purpose.
everyone. It is the general purpose. It is the ship that is... that was easy for me to say. It's the ship that's meant to let you learn a little of everything.
Right.
It's not... It doesn't mean it's the baby ship that you then advance to the other ships, but you decide what you want to do, and you might want to choose a different ship that's better at that thing. So the Wasp.
So it's like
is
your first crack rock. First crack rock is free.
I hope this one gets edited. Yeah. That's all I can say.
No, but I mean, it does let you sample all the different things you can do.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty much average at all of them.
It's a way, exactly. It's a way to learn all the different aspects of the game. It's not going to be the best at tricording. It's not going to be the most maneuverable, but its skill is being all skills.
Right. It's the fighter magic user, essentially. You know, to get to the
fighter magic user, cleric, paladin,
yeah,
everything.
all the above. Right. Exactly.
It just is lower level than the specialists as far as each of those individual
lower abilities.
Lower, yeah, exactly.
Not level, lower abilities.
Level being you were using a D&D reference.
Oh, so yeah, I was.
I was just kind of rolling with that.
Fair enough. Okay.
Keep your metaphor alive. So, the Wasp is the ship that we see everyone using to get a feel for the mechanics, get used to the way everything plays, try a little of everything, and there will be a lot. There will be almost nothing the Wasp can accomplish by itself.
You know, I could see it in a team game, the whole team deciding to take Wasps.
I think that would be cool.
Because then and maybe that's some of the levels we have, or it's just Wasp only, or Torch only, or, you know, we'll be doing some of that too. So.
I think we'll have a really rich set of menus is not the word, but a set of parameters you can set for each match, where maybe you can say, we're going to do this match with no tech tree interference. It's just straight ships.
Right.
Maybe we're going to do this match with only this type of ship.
Arcade only.
Yeah.
Right. You come into the game, everything's floating. All the little things are all the floating bits.
It's going to be floating anyway.
Yeah.
Which actually is something we're going to get to in the tech tree section, so we can.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's your show.
Your enthusiasm is contagious.
Yeah.
So let's see. We talked about we got through one.
We did
before we went off the rails.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have 3 different styles of attack / combat heavy craft. Mm-hmm. We have the Torch, which is very familiar to a lot of our longtime Descent players. Torch is our light assault craft. It is going to be really going to feel a lot like that other ship that you mentioned.
Go ahead and mention it.
In the way it maneuvers, it will be, in essence, like flying ships you might be familiar with.
Should we mention why we're not actually the Pyro?
We could do that.
Yeah, we could. I mean, so our license with Interplay allows us to be derivatives, but we can't actually use the assets. One of the reasons the game's been sitting there languishing for about 16 years is there's multiple parties who own different pieces. And so we can be derivatives, we can be a prequel. We cannot be the actual original, like, Pyro GX. So that's just part of what we have as licensed. Now, maybe we can work that out later, but for right now, the Torch is the prequel.
Right. There you go. And hey, we may explain how all that came to be in the long term. Yeah. But we'll get to that later. Mm-hmm. That's a different design topic.
I know, but I think it's important to know because people ask that question a lot.
So speaking of assault craft and the Pyro and Torch, we have another assault craft.
The Typhoon?
The Typhoon.
Typhoon.
The Typhoon, which you guys have already seen a concept for.
They haven't seen it in action though.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is insanely cool.
So the Typhoon is our heavy assault craft. Its job is not to be sneaky or anything else. It goes out there and pounds on the opponents. Yeah.
Right.
When it comes screaming down the hall at you and you see that 3-wing formation, you know what's coming at you.
It's the hit the beach person. You know, it's the rifleman. It's your general purpose military, assault craft.
It's out in front. It's not the toughest.
No.
But boy, does it pack a punch. Then you turn around and you take your tank, which is the Panzer.
The Panzer.
Panzer.
Tika taka, oi, oi, oi. Panzer.
Which means tank in
German. It does. It's funny because some of my German friends, when we were doing the design of this before we went to the Kickstarter, were like, I don't know if you call it Panzer. And I'm like, well, it's a cool tank. And they go, yes, but it just means tank. I'm going, which is what it is.
It's the tank.
Yeah, it's the tank. So, but they get to rename it anyway. So for now, it's the Panzer, and that thing's a beast.
The tank is
the tank.
Well, it's tankier.
It's
slower. It's less maneuverable. It may have, like, for instance, and here's one of the things about the way the design breaks down in the stats. It may have really good vertical acceleration, for instance, but maybe not turn or roll as fast. All these things are still being worked out, and that's that's the thing. Those are the things we're going to share with you as we go and work with you to get right as we go. But the tank can stand in there, and it'll probably do a lot of defending of your Goliaths and your Augurs, because it can stand in there and take a beating.
Yep.
And it can give it back pretty well, too.
Yeah, definitely.
So it can hang out there until maybe your assault guys get back to help out.
Right.
Now, we already talked about the Predator, our scout, which is light, fast. It's going to be the fastest and most maneuverable ship. It leads the way. It's going to do things like help spot opponents, do some advanced scouting in the mines to find where resources might be.
Right. If the scouts, if he's not around, he's not transmitting that data to people to let them know where the enemy is.
Absolutely. And there are ways we're going to balance that so it doesn't feel too weird. Like, for instance, the scout can extend your map. It's sort of like your 100%. Map robot, which your guide bot.
Oh, they don't. That's a touchy subject. Some people hated that guy, and some people liked it. And
sometimes he was dumb.
Yeah. Well, yes.
But, you have people to do that job now.
Right.
Makes it really easy.
That is kind of true, and so that's that's a dirty little secret, I guess, that you get to play the guide bot now. Essentially.
Right. Well, plus
he's got a lot more abilities. Right.
He's okay in combat. He's not great. But he can survive long enough to get away, and he's going to be really hard to hit.
Like a water bug, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the other thing about the Scout is that it can drop these relays, which are to relay map information and enemy positioning information back to you, but those can be destroyed.
Right.
So there's a punch, counterpunch, and all of these.
Everything's got that. Everything's got the countermeasure to everything in the game. So yeah.
For instance, the engineer, I was thinking today, maybe the engineer can turn off the lights without shooting.
Oh, we've got that. I love the idea of the headlights and flying through, although that is going to be like...
The lights in the tunnels, too. Wouldn't it be neat if your engineer just went down there and went snip, 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 snip?
Kind of a cloak, isn't it?
Yep.
Snip, 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 snip.
Kind of like, yep. Snip is probably not the right word, but
yeah.
Good enough. So, we have gone through all of our fighters. We've already talked about the Augur and the Goliath and their goals. Which one's doing this? Shaman and Warlock.
Shaman, Warlock.
So, the Shaman is your fix-it-up ship. It is the best by far at repairs. It's going to have the most capacity for doing multiple repairs on other people. But it's also going to be able to do other things. It's going to have a few engineering capabilities. It's going to be okay in combat because it needs to be able to survive.
It's your medic.
It's going to potentially have abilities to do things like help your shield out by extending its own. So it's going to be a good defensive / get your guys back in the fight craft.
Yeah.
The Warlock has got all kinds of engineering capabilities. It can be out there messing with your enemy's shield rechargers, laying traps, diffusing other people's traps.
Absolutely.
That's going to have one of the most interesting sets of play mechanics.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
So
imagine being able to lock down a tunnel with, like little trappy things.
Trappy things. That's very dynamic.
Well, it's going to look cooler than it sounds.
I sure hope so. Okay, have we gotten all 9?
I think so, yeah.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep.
Okay,
we've been through them all.
Good.
So, as you can see, balance, purpose, and the important thing is...
You haven't talked about the Peterman, though. The unlock the Peterman. Oh, that's nothing.
Awful.
We're not adding a ship.
It just sits there and does nothing all day.
It's funny, yeah. Right here at this desk. No.
It probably will do a lot of radio transmissions because it's a very loud ship. But
oh, really?
Okay, so we've talked about the stats and the balance of the ships, and we've talked about a little bit how you use each of those, and that each one gets rewards, and there will be different ways of standing out for doing your job, or maybe doing somebody else's job better than you should be able to do.
Right.
That'll be interesting. And of course, there will be the 1v1 who's really just the best pilot out there in the world.
Well, one of the things, too, is also when you're playing a team-based game, if you've got, all these elements covered and you've set your team up and, based on the parameters we've set for that particular map, or you guys have set, depending on who sets it, you may want to outfit your team with 3 assault, 2, it's up to you guys to choose. And then as the map's progressing, you may get behind and want to change your strategy, and so you switch over to something else in the middle of the map. It's kind of the fun of what we're doing here. We want to have a kind of a dynamic gameplay environment where people can choose how they play it and choose what they want to play, what kind of craft they want to fly.
And adapt to the situation.
Absolutely. And the situation will be changing all the time. And there might be some things dropped into the maps in the middle that you're not aware of.
So, but other things you can drop into the maps are power-ups, and boy, there have been a lot of questions.
Well,
about
yeah,
those.
we just haven't started working on them. We are actually working on them now, but all the shield orbs, all those kind of things will be there. People did ask us if we're going to have the power-ups, if there's going to be floaties, and it's not it's not Descent without floaties.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
But the interesting thing with those is that those tie directly back to our tech trees.
Yep.
There's been a lot of discussion, maybe a little trepidation from some of the old schoolers about what did tech trees do? What does that mean? I mean, am I going to be better than everybody else? Basically, if you think of the tech trees, there are some things that tweak your abilities a little bit, but they're not the same increments as the separate ships. Like if I'm a 5-star engineer and you're a 1-star engineer and you use the tech tree for engineering, you're not going to get to a 5-star engineer.
No,
you're
you'll
just
get
going to
a
be
little
a
boost.
better one.
Right. You'll get a small percentage upgrade, but that just by killing somebody flying through and grabbing their stuff, you'll increase your abilities. Right.
Exactly, and each ship will have specific sets of tech trees available. Not every tech tree is available to every ship.
Right.
So you can improve different ships in different ways. Maybe add some abilities along the side that do augment what you could do originally, and that's still in the design process, of course. But what tech trees sort of equate to, if you think about it, is they're like power-ups built in.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that if you're out there flying around in your teched-up ship and you get blown up, you're going to be dropping more power-ups for the other guys to pick up.
True.
So your team better get there and defend them so you can zip back and pick them up again.
or you give them up.
Exactly. So will you have an advantage? Sure, a little bit maybe. But you also are still going to give an advantage to the guys that are better pilots, because when you go down, they go up.
It's a target.
Yeah.
It's as much, it's a targeting thing, right? And so the scouts might be able to identify your most threatening targets for enemy fire.
Just wait till all those assault craft come zipping down there to
take
out your...
You're zipping down a hallway and all of a sudden here comes 4 enemies. Ah! Run away! I'll hail again Sir Robin, when danger reared his ugly head. Sir Robin turned around and fled. Monty Python?
I'm aware.
Okay.
This is design, man. It's serious.
Yes. Making games is serious business.
Serious business.
Can't have fun.
No, that's all we're doing is having fun.
True. Fair.
But really, we're about everyone having fun, not just us.
And that's the point. Again, I keep stressing this, but that is, again, why we're doing this with you guys involved, because it's one thing to have 8 to 10, 12, 15 people thinking you're balancing it. It's another thing to have thousands out there playing it and letting us know, okay, this is overpowered, this is underpowered, this needs tweaking, we need to adjust this here and here. And that's exactly why we're doing this in an open development environment, so that we don't come out with a one configuration, one ship wins scenario. And that's just unacceptable.
That is against the code.
The code.
So one of the other things you can customize on your ships, in addition to the tech trees, which who knows where those may lead in the long term, is the wings, noses, and tails.
Yep.
Now, we've talked about that a little bit, that one of the things about being in a big match in, say, Descent, is how can you tell who the really awesome guys are when you're just flying down a hallway?
Yeah, you can't. I mean, either by their name or, there's really no way of just...
But if I'm the best pilot out there, which, believe me, I'm not...
no, that's probably Dracona, to be honest, from what I've heard.
I think you're going to get some people who are going to disagree with you on that.
But probably your husband might disagree with that, too.
There are a good group of them who've been hanging out here that I'm curious to see how they feel and how they do with the newfangled Descent.
Yes.
But wouldn't you like to see them with entirely different tails or wings, with their own decals, with their own colors?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that people like to do, and myself included, is if you want to be the Red Baron. The Red Baron painted himself in his triplane red because he wanted people to fear who he was when he was coming in from the sun. And so, same kind of thing here. Now, that being said, there might be some that don't want people to know who they are, and so they stealthily just keep the regular configuration.
You mean wimps?
No, they're not wimps. If you're a super good pilot, you may not want people to recognize that you're a badass, and so you just kind of go with the regular thing. But there are others who want to look, clans and organizations want to all have the same tail assemblies. So
Absolutely.
Cosmetic pieces.
All of that, it's cosmetic. It's not going to alter the balance of the game.
Not at all.
There are going to be some situations where certain tail pieces will only fit on certain ships because they have more attach points than others. Right. I mean, it's not, you're not changing the capabilities of your ship by changing these.
No, because tails in 0G are really kind of worthless.
They're pretties.
Yeah, they're pretties. Yeah.
I still want the tail that's just a giant billboard sticking out the back, so you can read my logo really well when you're tailing me.
I think that's cool. Why not? But, you know, and there will be, like, if you're an org and you all want to have a specific tail type, there will be types that maybe every tail doesn't fit on every ship, but there'll be styles that will match it. Yeah, they'll match up.
And then you guys can share the same paint scheme.
Right, because the explorers over on Star Citizen are now, you know, they're looking at doing that. So we want to, you know,
come on over.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna have a great time.
Yep.
So is there anything else we need to do to close up on ships? I think we've hit all the major points that I wanted to talk about today. Just to give everybody a feel for what we're doing, what it means, why we're doing it. You know, just...
Well, we're just adding more depth.
Exactly.
We're adding more depth to a super fun experience, and we're bringing it forward to... There's a lot of... there's a new generation of gamers out there that have never played Descent, and I know my two boys are 12 and 16, and they're looking forward to it big time. And so... You know, for us old school folks, there'll be the general arcade style classic, and then for the newbies and the people that want to try out different varieties of role play, that'll be there too.
There's more. There's just more.
There's just more. It's deeper. It's richer.
So thanks for hanging out for our first Design Underground session. Thanks for joining in, Eric.
Oh, you're welcome.
And keeping us on topic. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.